Hello, everybody, and welcome.
Hello. What's going on, y'all?
Nice to see Sam on our live.
Good to see Sam and Anthony, Jerome, and Jen. Glad you're all here.
Yes, we're back from a little break. We're back full in force for July. We're done with the Being Human 101. We're moving on to more interesting topics, more exciting, lively things. Before we begin, be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment on the videos. Ask us questions, interact with us. We love chatting with you folks while we do live in Facebook and YouTube land and wherever else we might be. Today, we are talking strategies for business and marketing in 2025. More specifically, guerrilla marketing or maybe unorthodox marketing. Figure it's a little bit more interesting. You know, you're always used to the standard stuff of, you know, either you buy ads on the social media or I don't know, what's the other standard? That's probably the most standard way I can think of. What are the other standard ways we tend to market? And for life coaches specifically.
Just posting on social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever's hot. You know?
Yeah, like the basic pipeline is
writing books,
quotes,
create like Facebook groups and communities to get people involved.
Podcasts, that's a huge one now. That's what we're doing here, essentially.
Spamming alumni channels, you know.
Yeah, that's what we do.
I mean, with the rise of AI now, people are definitely trying to write books with that, because I don't know how common it was for your average coach to get certified and say, hey, now I'm going to write a book.
I was curious if we were going to speak about AI today. I left it out of the description because I thought we were going to stay away. I don't know. I feel like that could be a whole live stream in itself if we really.
It could be.
It could be. Yeah. We'll get into that when we get to the actual like guerrilla marketing part. But Sam, you gave the nice suggestion of structuring the conversation, which I like. I like having a little bit of structure. So we're going to be going over the understanding your products and your service, like what the heck it is you actually are, providing as a life coach, which will eventually lead into understanding our audience and the people that we're trying to sell our services to, and finally how we can market to them and do it maybe in an unorthodox manner. Sam, you gave a good example in the Slack threads about your personal experience, and I've found some neat anecdotes that are not related to life coaching, but do kind of show how creative you can be, especially if you're a creative person. Guerrilla marketing is a bit more appealing and less dreary than the normal marketing methods. And Lisa's gone.
We lost Lisa.
We lost Lisa. That's okay. She'll come back or not. We'll still be okay either way. So what are we doing as life coaches? Lisa's back.
There we go.
Perfect. So what the heck is it we're actually offering as a life coach as far as our services go?
Mm-hmm. Oh, you want me to go? I can go ahead and start.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the main thing here is, especially if we've got students from Coaching 101 or 102 watching this video, when you go out and say that you're going to start a coaching business, it's important that you have your own language for it. I'm fortunate enough to be within a niche that understands coaching, but if I wanted to bottom line it, I would say the creation of action plans using a client's own ideas and insights. So if I just want to keep it nice and easy, nice and baseline, as opposed to the 4-sentence description that I had 5 years ago that ended with like unlocking true purpose or whatever like that. Mm-hmm. And the client's just like, huh? Mm-hmm. Just start with something simple, digestible, and let that be the baseline for how you market your stuff. Because there's coaching and then there's your coaching. But of course, here at CLCI, we go off of what the ICF defines as coaching. Yeah. Anybody else want to take this for a little bit?
I'll tag on to your definition, and I'll say that it is the client who is creating the plan and executing the plan.
Yes.
I wanted to make a distinction that what it is that you think that you're selling as a coach might not be exactly the same as what your clients are out there buying when they're looking for coaches. They might have a completely different conception of what coaching is versus the service you're selling, and how you word it does sort of temper that relationship a little bit and sort of guides them into maybe a more ICF oriented way of thinking about coaching. But the service of life coaching, I mean, I used to think of it, this was before I worked for Certified Life Coach Institute, and I was severely misguided. But the way I used to think about it is people who bought life coaching, they just needed somebody to tell them what to do from somebody who either does or pretends to have more knowledge or experience than them. That's simply what I thought it was as a service. And I do think that a lot of people who buy those services do think of it that way, is that you're going to tell me what to do. I'm going to do it because you're my coach. And that's what I've been exposed to as coaches before, like in sports or PE and school. The coaches told me to do things and then I would do them. So that's one way that you can think about what it is. There's a perception before the client even gets to you of what the service it is they actually want to purchase. Can you guys think of like other maybe assumptions that people are bringing to the table before they even, see you, the coach?
Yeah, I think a lot of them think that you have some sort of 5-step plan that works for everybody that you're about to just give them and coach them on that.
Well, but that's what a lot of coaches will say and use and then give guarantees and I don't see the artistry in a lot of that.
Yeah. I always try to make sure that's clear to coaches when they come into 101. I'm like, I am sorry to say this. Well, no, not sorry to say this, but there's no divine wisdom that's mystically and magically bestowed upon you because now you have CLC or CPC after your name. So the artistry, to your point, Lisa, is being able to actively listen, extrapolate things that other people just brush right past. Like when someone says to your prospective client, hey, how you doing? And they say, I'm doing fine. And they miss all of the energy and the tonality behind I'm doing fine. While you as a coach latch on to that, pull from that, help the client come to insights that they wouldn't readily come to because everyone is so used to blowing past oh, I'm doing fine too. Let me tell you about my weekend type of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So another way to word it is like coaching could be a way to generate insights and then hopefully the client executes on those insights that are gathered outside of the coaching session.
Yeah.
You're not telling them the best way to go about it. They're figuring that out for themselves.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're just sitting there and not doing anything, but it's a very active exchange. Some people like to say partnership, but it's very active. It's not, you're not just sitting there like a bump on a log, right? Just the same with marketing. You cannot just sit there and not be interactive with your marketing. You are participating in ways that your client probably never had anyone that actually really focused in on them. In the same way you'll pull marketing, you're going to help focus on what your client is looking for. And a lot of times our students don't know, they think it's all about them. They think it's all about who they are and what they've succeeded in doing. And it's really not. I mean, it's getting to know you a bit, but there's a piece of it where it's really about the client you're trying to attract. That is really what your marketing strategies are about.
Unless you're in the very unique situation where you are already a celebrity of sorts, or you're already very well known, they're not coming to you because you're you.
Hey,
coming
even
to you.
Oprah had to advertise when she switched to her what was that channel grouping that was more private. What do you call those? The
channel. I don't.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Oprah. The OWN network? Are you talking about the Oprah Winfrey network? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
that billionaire.
She
We
had
don't
to
know
sell that
too. No, to a lot of what's said just reminds me, again, if we're sticking with what this thing is, what this thing we call coaching is, you'll connect what coaching is, the what, to why it's important to your client, to Lisa's point here. For example, if I were to just say, I help people bring insights to the surface so they can create action plans, the natural next question is why? And that's why you're going to need to know how to communicate the benefits. Like in my space, what you're going to see is a lot of leaders and managers battling against attrition or turnover, or not having a strategy in place that takes them into the future. So by utilizing coaching as a vehicle and as a medium to improve retention, to improve employee engagement, to improve the quality of strategies, and even just to improve coaching acumen within organizations, which statistically, if you have coaching acumen within an organization, it boosts organizational outcomes by miles. Then now you're speaking a language, and of course, not everyone's going to be in that space, but you're speaking a language that makes them care about coaching. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're speaking more towards the specific results and changes they want to have at the end of the coaching relationship,
without making aggrandizing guarantees.
Yeah,
of course.
This kind of floats around, I would say, understanding your client, the initial stages of doing so, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because what some of the problems we see, and we had this off, I think early on, is that calling yourself just a life coach isn't good enough. It's not speaking to what it is as a potential client I need help with, or I want to see a change in. And the more focused you get, the more specific your message is, until you get something like Sam's, what Sam just said, which is ultra specific. It speaks to a very, it speaks to an individual rather than just, a mass of people that are kind of vague in your mind as a coach. Being specific is probably one of the most key aspects of what we're going to be getting at throughout this entire conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're kind of jumping the gun a little bit. We're talking about understanding your audience. It's okay. Pumping the brakes a little bit. Oh, well, it's been 20 minutes or so. No, let's go.
That time.
We'll go into understanding your audience. So, the client. I'm whenever I put the client when I say the client, there's like this vague amorphous figure, no face, no defining features. It's just I say dollar signs and that's it. And that's what I think a lot of new coaches also see when they say the client or their future clients. They see a dollar sign, and there's not really other specific, qualities of this person. Now, Sam, you were just talking about, what you've done in coaching so far. Can you maybe give us an ideal client avatar? Like and then Brooke does this probably better than I'm doing it now, but make this a specific human being, and what do you know about them?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna take notes because he's gonna give us some details.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Obviously, without breaking client confidentiality here. Before I answer that, I just want to put this out there for anyone watching this. If you're going to identify who your audience is, it's also important to identify who your audience is not. Specifically saying things like, especially believing that your audience is this subset of human beings that you'll never see, but they're just uniquely fit to be coaching clients. As if you don't come across ideal clients every single day. Like I hear in class all the time, how do I find clients? Like, y'all think that they're hiding in a fallout shelter or something? They're everywhere. It's the true answer. But to directly answer this question for Anthony, for the sake of it, my ideal client, at least one of my main audiences, would be an HR manager, an HR director, because they fall in line with organizational decision makers, someone who has to make a choice around how they're going to spend their money on leadership development for a quarter, for a year, someone who's looking to tighten up their tactical and operational planning side of their strategies and utilizing coaching as a means to do that. And since they're an HR manager, there's no specific age range per se on that one, because I know we can talk about that. But it could be something to consider as well, because a baby boomer and Gen Z may have two totally different slangs. And if you use that in your marketing, you might speak to one, but might not speak to another. Like skibbity toilet, chat, are we cooked? Gen Z will understand that a little better.
I get that.
See what I mean? So,
Lisa, did you get that?
No.
Wait, Lisa, how would you interpret that? Like, what did you hear when he said those words?
I think the computer blanked out in that second. Say it again.
I bet you it
Skibbity
didn't.
toilet, chat, are we cooked?
I still can't hear it.
No, you're hearing it right. You just
aren't making skibbity toilet, chat, are we cooked?
These are terms being used
How would Lisa interpret those words? I'm really
This would make me crazy because I don't even know what it means.
Just throw something out there. Give us your best shot.
So I'll separate the phrase. It's skibbity toilet, period, chat, comma, are we cooked? Question mark.
What was the first word you said?
It's skibbity dash toilet.
To be fair, toilet. I don't even.
I would imagine somebody's on the toilet, their library.
Oh, they're in a toilet, not on a toilet.
Texting.
I need to mute myself.
That's great.
I do not even know what that means.
Someone is on the toilet texting. Is that it?
No, that is
a
not
fair
it.
guess.
I don't even know what it is. I could be saying something outrageous right now.
No, I completely understand, Sam. I'm reading between the lines, and let's just say duly noted.
Okay, did I answer the ideal audience question?
Well, I'm gonna be a Brooke real quick.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make you be as specific as possible. And this is like pulling teeth sometimes. When when we've done our lunch and learns, it's sometimes like pulling teeth. Sam, what is their name and how old are they?
Even though you said you didn't want to give them an age.
It's too bad. Okay. You have to. We're pulling teeth here.
Okay, since they gave me permission to share their name is Bertha. Bertha is 37.
Bertha's 37.
And the HR management space they are in is in personal training and fitness.
Okay. And now here's where we're going to sort of progress a little bit. Where does she spend most of her time?
She spends most of her time on LinkedIn when she's not at work. Because she's on LinkedIn, she finds all of her information and sometimes entertainment on LinkedIn. There's a specific follower. There's a specific influencer that we both follow on LinkedIn, and she just happened to find me posting a comment underneath one of the entertaining videos, saw that I was an executive coach, saw what I offered, went to my website, and was like, wow, this is easy to follow.
I did not know LinkedIn had entertaining videos.
I didn't know that either. This is news to me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess it all depends on how you define entertaining.
Well, considering that I go on TikTok and I know what skibbity toilet chat or cooked means, it's a little bit different.
You're less likely to doom scroll on LinkedIn.
That is true. Well,
story.
But okay, so Bertha, she's 37. She spends most of her time on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. What about offline?
Offline. Actually, Bertha's a little bit of a hermit. She spent most of her time from her undergrad to her graduate studies, even as she's pursuing a doctorate right now, dedicating most of her time just to work and improving her craft as an HR professional. which is emblematic by her many designations in the project management field, her HR, Society of Human Resource Professionals, you know what I'm talking about, membership,
titles and tags.
Titles and tags. There we go.
Okay. So what language or emotional triggers resonate with Bertha that makes them click?
Okay.
What's something that grabs their attention?
I'm glad you shifted it shifted attention, because I'm actually going to bring in the DISC personality system here for a moment. It's not that Bertha's detached from her emotion, but she's much more likely to say, this makes sense versus this feels good. So kind of the C personality system on the DISC personality. So conscientious of how she invests her time, energy, and money. On top of that, as shared before, she is responsible for how leadership development is spent within her organization. So she's looking for coaches, coaching program, leadership development programs that make the most sense. And what makes the most sense, based on what's on my website, is the mission statement of Integrative Clarity Coaching, which is being a standard bearer in professional development by delivering demystified, transformative, and results-driven coaching solutions worldwide. So demystified, transformative, results-driven coaching solutions. Okay, this makes a lot of sense. That stuck out to her.
What stuck out to me from what you said was the word demystified. That's an interesting one when compared to the other ones, because it's like a revelation is occurring. It's something that is less, from my mind, it's less logical and more of like, there was a mystery, there's confusion, and now there's this unfurling and looking behind the curtain, and you can see all the parts working, and that's what gets her going.
Simplifying of such. Yeah.
So, and I can tell you from what I'm gathering about Bertha, she's very pragmatic. She's structured. She is one to not waste a lot of time. She's going to do things that are going to better herself. She's going to find things that will encourage her being efficient and directive. And that's why the demystifying works, because it's logical to her and she doesn't want it to be woo-woo stuff. Right? So when I'm hearing that, I'm hearing a person who would read a book, who would attend a program, which is something that you were speaking about. She probably would enjoy something that she can quickly gather and not over a long term. She would be someone who would like to get as much information up front and personal, which is what I hear about that target audience.
C personality system all the way.
Now, how do we interrupt her attention without annoying her?
You got to give her something that she is interested in.
Well, there's more a question for Sam, since Bertha's your ideal client. And we're thinking of guerrilla marketing and maybe some surprising ways we can get past her filters. Because I'm assuming, so correct me if I'm wrong, I'm assuming she's got a lot of professional filters in place. She doesn't have a lot of time for, bullshit, essentially. What would be a way that we can interrupt that flow a little bit to maybe capture the attention, but not annoy her, with, incessant spam, or just like, it's kind of like we're just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. What would interest her in a way that's like, oh, this is kind of quirky, this is interesting, let me take a further look, see what's going on.
Definitely. Now, this is going to sound very cold. I say this in all love and respect. My concern is not with her being annoyed or not. Like, I can't control that. Like, if she gets annoyed by my content, then and I'm showing up, of course, authentically here, then that's not on me. Now, I'm not going to spam her and send her DM after DM or email after email. But going back to the example of how she found me, assuming that she enjoys content, entertaining content on LinkedIn from this professional who does professional skits, that could be a way to share knowledge and information in skit form, short form content that lays out a professional scenario and how an employee, a manager, an HR manager for that matter, could overcome that challenge. Now, what those specific things are, because I too am a C, I'll probably spend 2 or 3 months trying to figure that whole thing out and making it as perfect as possible before I do that. But there is one other thing that I had to mention. While I could theoretically coach Bertha, the reason Bertha is my ideal audience, but not necessarily my ideal client, is because HR managers, at least in my experience, have been that middleman, so to speak, between my ideal client and that person. Because that ideal client may make decisions for themselves, but if they're in an organizational hierarchy, they're going to go through HR or whoever's got the power of the purse. So that's why I'm focusing on Bertha as opposed to just the line managers. Hopefully that makes sense. And yeah, short form content and skits. Darn it, I forgot my funny hat that I was going to put on.
So we were just talking about hats before.
So are you saying that Bertha may not necessarily be the one to hire you, but rather to refer you?
Bingo. To refer me, or with inside or outside of her organization.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that I think a lot of new coaches don't consider, but when it's finally revealed to them, they're like, oh, that makes perfect sense. I see this a lot when we talk about like the sponsor of the coaching session versus the client of the coaching session. And the sponsor is the one who is either giving the approval or paying for the service, and the client is the one who's receiving the service or the benefits of it. And in marketing, that might mean that, like, let's say if you're a coach who's coaching kids or minors, your message the way you structure your message might have an impact of, how this actually shakes down. If your messaging is where the kids are, let's say it's on TikTok, it's someone who's younger, it's going to be the kids who see your message and they want to be coached by you, but they got to bring that to their parents, and the parents, who is the sponsor, give the ultimate approval. The reverse is also possible, where if your message is towards parents, you're convincing the parents, who will probably ultimately pay for it, but the kids need to be on board a little bit. They need to be open to coaching for the actual coaching to occur. So there's multiple parties, and in your example, Sam, with the line managers versus the HR professionals, you need to be mindful that you're kind of juggling multiple audiences, and not just the person that your screen is in front of might be the ones who eventually give the approval or look and eventually pay for your services.
Right. So you don't want to tick off the one actual person that's going to sit in front of you to cater to the person who would refer.
And that is why whenever I do consultations like that, I prefer to sit in the room with both of them to ensure that there is alignment there. Because as I have been told by another educator that I respect very much, coaching without consent is called nagging. And if that client did not give consent to be coached, but the HR manager is like, I want coaching here, I'm not taking him on, because I don't want the HR manager to be happy that coaching is happening. But this client is like, oh, I'm never getting coached again. And the flip-flop can be true also. Client can be very happy, but HR manager, let's go ahead, let's personalize it. Bertha's like, I paid you for coaching in this area, but this isn't happening and this is happening. What's going on? So there has to be that synergy between the both of them. And that's something, whether you're working with professionals or a parent and their kid, or guardian and kid, whatever that is for you.
Yeah, anytime there's a sponsor-client in the mix. Rather, it's a little bit more straightforward when it's just you and the client and the person you're sending the message to. That's who's going to be coaching. But it's not that simple sometimes. And most of the time, when I see the higher ticket, coaching sessions, at least from my research of like corporate coaching, there's always a sponsor, and then there's a different client. It's usually the case from what I've seen. So that we're getting into understanding our audience. We kind of understand Bertha, where she's coming from, who she is. What are the ways that we can now message her in an unorthodox manner? This is guerrilla marketing, and I want to just point out that normal marketing, it's kind of like the more money you put into it, the more effective it is. And I'm speaking from very general terms from like, big marketing firms, the biggest organizations out there. The more money that they put into it, the more they get out of it. And this could be huge productions, super long commercials, crazy marketing schemes that are affecting different countries. Guerrilla marketing, which comes from the idea of guerrilla warfare, is small, it's precision, it's unorthodox, and it's cheap. That's probably one of the most important things I think in guerrilla marketing is that it's a way for you to spend less resources to get the most amount of effort rather than the most amount of resources to get the most amount of effort.
Yeah.
So that's why guerrilla marketing is appealing for entrepreneurs, because they get to be a little bit more creative and they get to be a little bit more strategic with their time and their resources, because they're mostly just one person. You're not going to be having a whole marketing team working for you if you're just a coach by yourself. So that's a little bit about, I guess, sort of the conceptual aspects of guerrilla marketing. How you would actually approach that with Bertha, though, Sam? That's up to you.
I think you already said, though, one. You definitely mentioned, you mentioned the skits that she would like, those business skits that are also so like edutainment, right? Like half educational, half entertainment. Yeah.
I'm gonna challenge you, Sam, to be more creative and a little bit more unorthodox, because what I'm hearing is making digital content online.
Yes.
I feel like I've seen some of Sam's guerrilla content. I definitely have. Like the baseball one, where the baseball comes at your face, scares the crap out of you.
Yeah, I've been a victim to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Like, I hear you on the fact that it could be seen as just creating digital content, but I'm still very strategic from one C to another. I understand that there's not going to be a whole lot of things that it's not going to take a lot for the BS meter to go off.
Okay.
So staying within the realm of where we're both at, which is LinkedIn, which we've learned in some spaces, there's actually entertaining content that is on there. So a little more unorthodox in a place where you believe everybody is boring and business oriented. I'm not saying that about LinkedIn, everybody. That is one place where I can speak to Bertha, because again, Bertha's not the most active and out there. I could go out and, this is going to sound really weird, but since we're talking about guerrilla marketing over here, I could go out in the middle of I-35's frontage road right now, and on Bertha's way back home, don't ask me how I know where she lives.
It's a little bit of the guerrilla marketing right there.
I could put on a 3-piece suit, hold up a sign or something that says free 30 minutes of coaching. That's pretty unorthodox.
Or Bertha, free 30 minutes of coaching.
Just hi Bertha. Yeah. Y'all, everybody watching, don't be creepy with it.
Yeah,
we don't do that.
We're being creative here, all right?
What about HR professionals, free 30-minute coaching?
That would be a lot less creepy.
A lot less creepy. Yeah, Bertha would be like...
And probably pretty effective, honestly. Yeah. I'm still curious as to how you know where Bertha lives, Sam, but we'll leave that one alone for now.
Don't ask. You asking too many questions. Yeah.
So, I'm trying to regain my train of thought here. So with guerrilla marketing, I guess how much effort and time are you spending in this piece? And also money. Let's just say time, effort, money. How, like hypothetically, after this is said and done, and let's say this does cause a conversion, it does happen. How would you go about sort of evaluating your marketing campaign? Because at least in my experience with CLCI, and from what I've seen Brooke and talked with Brooke about, some marketing campaigns do work. They do lead to conversions. However, the cost associated with the conversion doesn't really justify it. And we got to rethink the ways we go about it. So that maybe it's a little less cost, maybe a little bit more conversions is always, the ideal, but it doesn't work always that way. So let's assume in your case with Bertha, she does convert. How would you then estimate whether your guerrilla marketing campaign was worthwhile?
Yeah. So for one, my coaching prices aren't cheap. So I could probably spend a good bit of time and money on things. But just for this very specific example, if you want to really quantify it, I don't necessarily need to spend money on a new suit, but Texas is hot. So I might need to spend money getting dry cleaning or making sure that it's presentable and not smelly everywhere. So whatever the cost associated with dry cleaning is, whatever the cost associated with gas from my place to this one very specific area. And then I don't necessarily go by, how much am I wasting per hour doing this? Because I'm literally just holding up a sign. How much was the sign? I got markers, so I don't need to spend money on that. So for this specific campaign, what I put into it monetarily is infinitesimal compared to what I'm going to make from this person, even if they spend 2 hours of coaching with me. So how much is dry cleaning? Let's just call it $20.
That sounds low. I don't know. I haven't gotten dry cleaning in a while. I bet it's higher than that now.
It's I think it's like
30.
For a suit,
For a suit.
Yeah, you're probably right.
At least 30. Probably more like 50.
Well, I'm still on vacation. Yeah. I haven't gone to the cleaner since before I left for vacation, so I don't remember those prices anymore.
But what you had described what they are calling a human directional or a human billboard. I don't see them normally as dressed as well, as it's about the sign and about pointing towards the place of business. So how would you standing on the side be a guerrilla marketing holding a sign, and how would you get that person to connect with you?
Wait, can you ask the first question again?
No, because I don't know what I just asked.
I think you're asking is how does that connect to Bertha? How does that pique her interest?
How does she connect to you from holding a sign?
Other than it's a little bit odd.
Because the last thing on Bertha's mind is seeing somebody on the side of the road speaking specifically to HR managers in her day-to-day interactions, going to work, she don't see nothing like that. Coming back home, she's building into her career, she's not seeing it. So it's unorthodox in the sense where it's the pink elephant that is in her. So then
what's the next step that doesn't take a lot of effort on her part to actually connect with you?
If she stops and she's like looking and like, hey, how's it going? Want a business card? I'm serious. It could be as simple as that.
She will need to actually stop and engage with you.
And where I'm stopping, it's kind of no choice there because it's a red light. So pretty easy to get people on that. Even if I don't get HR managers.
And really the point of this just experiment that we're talking through is you've got to think these through, because it's not just about getting their attention as we're playing with a scenario. It is really about shortening the most shortest possible way, the least amount of effort that your client or your client's referral need to get a hold of you, to connect with you, to touchstone with you. Go ahead, Sam.
I got something. Y'all want a gorilla? I'm gonna give you gorilla. All right.
All right.
So before I do this, I'm going to spend 3 months practicing a backflip. Then I'm going to spend another month practicing how to do a backflip in dress clothes.
Oh my God.
Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the sign. Y'all asked for that. Y'all want to be creative? I'm going to get creative.
Let's be creative.
So I'm going to have a sign that says, honk if you want to see me do a backflip. So they go honk. I'm going to be like, who can I say I'm like? I can't think right now, but I'm going to be dapper, dressed the nines, hitting that backflip, and then saying, hey, if you want to learn more about me and my backflip acumen, here's my information.
Well,
so
hold on.
Having a little bit of fun.
I'm confused because I feel like that would intrigue people that are like into acrobatics and like
well it's like who is this person? Who is this person dressed up in a 3-piece suit? Why are they asking to honk? Why are they asking me to honk if I want to see him do a backflip? So it's less inquiry about my service and more figuring out who is this guy.
So it's more curiosity that you're creating.
Bingo.
Okay.
So I saw an example. I was in my reading. IKEA put a sofa at a bus stop.
Or I think, was it a bed or a sofa at a bus stop?
What I read was the sofa, but
it might be been a sofa.
Yeah.
Well, what happened?
They got to sit on a nice sofa.
Yeah, I'm wondering, are we replacing the bench or just like one next to it?
I think it's what Anthony was talking about earlier. It's how do you disrupt what's happening and how do you create the attention, which is what Sam was talking about.
Yeah.
And my computer's going crazy. And the flips in his 3-piece suit where he's looking very professional and yet he's acting as though he should be wearing leotards or something that allow his ability. And so the curiosity point is, what's going on? Well, you're wearing a suit and you're right. And just like the IKEA sofa or bed or whatever it was, I read sofa. It's creating the attention without really spending on the end result a whole lot of money.
I'm cooking right now. This is just something off the dome.
Okay.
Did you just say you were Oh my gosh.
I'm cooking.
I thought for a second he was about to run away, like into the kitchen. I thought you were being literal.
No.
Like, really? You're cooking while we're on the live?
I'm trying to think of unorthodox ways to get into where the HR professional is when we spend some time. A lot of times they do job interviews. They're the ones who are doing the interviews. So just apply to jobs on LinkedIn as whatever. And then once you're in the job interview, just start coaching them. Flip the interview so that you're now interviewing them and you're coaching them and you're figuring out, what is you want from your organization.
That's infiltration. I like that.
That's called nagging.
I have no idea if it's actually a good idea. It's just so odd and it's so out there and it's uncomfortable. I would be uncomfortable doing that as the coach.
Oh my gosh.
But if you send out enough interviews and you get enough, you just booking like maybe 20 minutes of your time, you might have some interesting conversations that might lead somewhere. I don't know. That I'm trying to think as guerrilla as possible for the least amount of investment of my time and or money.
Just wear a gorilla suit or something like that if we're going full. No, I'm just kidding.
Whatever it is you do, like Sam's suit backflip, film it and put it on social media because that's a crazy thing that's going to get attention.
Make sure you film everything, no matter what crazy stuff you do.
Film everything. Like digital marketing. It all comes back to that.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, it really does. So, have you seen those marketing people who say digital marketing? You don't need to do that anymore. You don't need to do. And what are they on? Digital marketing.
You're doing digital marketing,
right?
So, yeah, because we don't have phone books anymore. We don't have anything as a reference. That is just one of our reference points. An ability to add credibility to who we are, that we're not something pretend. out there, and it just provides a space where they can get to know you, like you, and build trust in what you're saying.
Yeah. Not going anywhere, honestly, guys. 2025 technology is here. AI is here. LinkedIn and all the other social media platforms that you can think of, they're here.
Oh, so that's another thing. Jerome, you mentioned this earlier, but AI is a very handy tool if you need to do a lot of research in a short amount of time for a short amount of money for your guerrilla marketing campaign.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I'll be honest, I think of GPT as a thought partner. I literally just like decide daily that I'm going to double my brain power with the hive mind that is GPT. I am not just going to rely on myself anymore. And it's going wonderfully. Okay. I must say, I am much more.
I remember how you were when this first shook down.
Oh, I know. I do too. I was not interested.
It took me a minute to get on board, but now I full on recognize, like, if we don't learn to use it, we are going to become antiquated. We have to evolve with it in the same way that we evolve with the internet. You know, like we don't have a choice.
Seriously.
So I'm on board now.
Plus, I mean, like, it doesn't, if you're not comfortable with it being a thought partner, or you want to be authentic or genuine or whatever, it's just a more powerful search engine.
Oh, I'm still authentic and genuine. It just helps me with a few little like creative kicks that I don't have, and that once I put my spin on it, it changes everything.
Mm-hmm. You better stay genuinely concerned. Please stay genuine.
It's in the name. It's not going to change.
This CLCI Live has been sponsored by Gen Long Life Coaching. But yeah, AI, it's a great way to do like just research. If you feel like, you know, for your guerrilla marketing, you want to reach the most amount of people as possible. I have certainly used it to research a lot of different names, a lot of different businesses, and a lot of different people to make a list of leads that I can then reach out to or, you know, do interesting things with, which just makes the process so much simpler and saves you a lot of time so you can focus on the creative fun parts of guerrilla marketing. That way you can maybe test out more ideas in a more efficient way and, you know, see what sticks and what doesn't stick.
Verify your answers that AI gives you. Sometimes it can give you some outlandish stuff.
That is true.
I typed in life coaching and it was not life coaching.
I use Perplexity, so it gives me sources. Yes, Sue says, "Hey, all, better late than never."
Yes,
AI is helping me grow my YouTube channel.
Sue is crushing it, you guys. Like, I am just blown away at like the momentum she's got going on, and it's like it's such good content that she's making.
And it is amazing, but it didn't happen overnight. She has really put her time, energy, effort into learning, growing, and putting herself out there, and being, you know, I'm going to say this, proud of herself for who she's becoming and who she's been, and not being intimidated to share.
Yes.
And that's Sue was my classmate. Sue was my classmate for 101. So just seeing how she's growing and evolving in that, I'm like, you go, girl.
Yeah.
Seriously.
No, it's so true what you just said. Like, you can sense it in her content. Oh my gosh, 6,200 views.
Let's go.
Congrats, Sue. That's amazing. You can sense that she's not intimidated, that she's confident, and that she's proud of herself and
authentic.
Yes, it's so great to see. It's so great.
So with Sue, what I've noticed, and this is both the case in guerrilla marketing and traditional marketing, one of the most important things is consistency, and consistently plugging away, consistently growing, consistently speaking to your audience with a specific message. It's not going to change whether you're doing guerrilla marketing or traditional marketing. You're not really going to see results without being consistent. and putting away time. It does seem like with guerrilla marketing, and it's going to put emphasis on seem, that these things blow up overnight and leads to viral like sort of fame. But a lot happens before it ever gets to that point. And there's a lot of failed guerrilla marketing campaigns until a successful one actually blows up. So you have to be consistent. And that is my final thought and takeaway for the live.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Anthony, because I don't know if what I've been doing is called guerrilla marketing. You guys tell me. But I've kind of just been like, go ahead, just go be yourself. And like, let's see what that looks like. And, you know, I haven't had any like strategy other than just film and post, and it's going to attract the right people. And it hasn't done. I mean, yeah, of course, you know, there's views and comments or whatever, but like it hasn't actually done, you know, anything tangible for my business that I can see yet. And so right now I've paused to just kind of regroup and figure out, okay, that's not necessarily going to be your best strategy. Not saying you should throw that away, right? I still want to put myself out there and be myself no matter what that looks like but like I also need
it's an addendum. That is a thing that someone can go to see who you are, but you still have to reach out and connect with them. You still have to actually go to the places that they're at.
Yeah. And so I'm just, definitely looking at like, okay, that didn't achieve what I wanted it to achieve, but that doesn't mean I stop it. It means I have to look at it critically and I have to refine it and I have to pivot. And so that's kind of where I'm at. So I think that was a really good point.
Boom.
Sam, Jerome, Lisa, final thoughts?
Yeah. Marketing can be very intimidating. It can be overwhelming, but take it just one thing at a time, one step at a time, one focus at a time. I mean, if it is to start off with social media, then do that and do it well. But that's not the only step. So get that, feel comfortable with that, move on, or maybe stay a little uncomfortable with it, but also add things to it. Reach out, you know, find out where your clients are, what are they doing, really do that marketing avatar so that you're really living and breathing where and what and who your clients are so you can authentically show up in front of them.
I would say it is, unfortunately, when you first start off, it is a little bit daunting, just kind of like what Lisa said. It can be intimidating. I think purely based on the fact that you don't know exactly where your ideal client is when you're first starting out. So once you go ahead and, you know, you kind of hone in where that space is, like for us, we know it's Facebook. We put most of our effort and attention into Facebook. Then it becomes fun and you realize what you're doing. There's a purpose to it and you're enjoying putting out that content, which you otherwise might have, you know, not enjoyed on a different platform because you weren't seeing tangible results, things like that. So unfortunately, you do have to kind of grind a little bit in the beginning, but once you get going, I promise you, it gets a lot easier and more fun.
Yeah, you got to have those learning pains in the beginning. There's no way around it.
and there's really no relaxing into it. I mean, you don't just go, okay, it's built, and then don't ever look at it again.
Right.
You constantly have to navigate through it.
And given just all of this, we can all take what all of us have said, what Sue's put in the chat, and some of you guys may be watching this and still asking, so where do I find clients? Which is a good question, but I think there's a deeper one that is not visited enough. And I say this again in love and respect. I don't think the real question is, where do I find clients? The real question is, why am I scared of introducing myself to people? There's a quote that I don't know the name of the author, but this is something that stuck with me for almost a decade now. And I encourage you to take a deep breath and just prepare yourself for this quote because it is very flooring. And I quote, "You want to take the easy way out because you're scared." I'm going to pause that for a second. The easy way out. How do I find what's the best way to go about finding clients? What's the best social media? What's the best payment process? I hear that question a lot. And then there's this like, how do I get the most amount for the lease? So going back to that quote for a second, I'm just going to read the whole thing. You want to take the easy way out because you're scared. And you're scared because if you try and fail, there's only you to blame. Life is scary. Get used to it. There are no magical fixes. It's all up to you. Should you take that quote and say, oh, I'm facing something insurmountable in the world of marketing? Absolutely not. This is an invitation to get radically honest about what part of marketing yourself, guerrilla or traditional marketing, scares you. Once you face that, once you take a step out beyond the rumination of the fears and into the light, you will find very quickly that you had nothing to be afraid of. Sometimes the difference between having a client and not having a client, oftentimes, every time, the difference between having a client and not having a client is letting people know you exist. You're not going to get eggs and tomatoes thrown at you. I done tried it, ain't got hit with one of those yet. Plus, the price of those these days, ain't nobody going to waste it. So be encouraged there on that one. But you are offering something that people want, people need. Statistics and studies for the last 5 years have validated that. So get on out there. Don't let fear stop you. Smack it up and get on out there.
That's
all right.
Jerome, be sure to clip that for social. Thank you. Thank you, Sam.
I'm going to clip it and send it over to Sam so he can do what he wants with it.
Oh my gosh. No, keep that.
I will.
Whatever.
Mic drop. So with that, we'll conclude our CLCI Live on the business and marketing strategies for 2025. If you enjoyed CLCI Live, be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment. And if you doubly like the live and you want to feel more confident in marketing your own business as a life coach, take Coaching 101 and Coaching 102 and become a certified life coach. And perhaps you'll even be lucky enough to have Sam as your facilitator. So
now we're going to get calls and they're going to ask me, can I get in Sam's class?
Is Sam teaching this class next week?
Yes, everyone is amazing. Sam's amazing, and so is everyone. So
that's very
awesome.
True. Yep. Yeah, it is very true. The amount of what's it called? The feedback forms that I read, each facilitator is like, these students are raving about each one every time. Yeah.
So if you like what you see, come take our classes, and we will see you guys next week for a different topic for CLCI Live. All right.
See you guys.
Take care.
Bye.